one half of Ready Steady Websites, Jude Wharton. Welcome to TCC Snap. How are you?
Thank you very much. I am good, thank you.
Yeah, good. We just before coming on air, uh, I asked how your week's gone, and you said, "Well, it's only Tuesday, but it's going well so far, and we're really busy." So let's start there, shall we? Um, if you're anything like me, when you're really busy, you think, oh, it'd just be nice if it was slightly quieter. Then if it's slightly quieter, you think, oh, I just wanted to be busier. And then it's just like that roller coaster, isn't it? How are you feeling at the moment being busy? Are you overwhelmed? Have you got the systems in place?
We
And then we'll
do,
go from
yeah.
there.
We are pretty good with the systems. I think we've got when it's busy with clients and projects and new people coming in, that's the good busy. Like I like that, we do quite a lot of the work we do is systemized. Like people, if they're coming in doing their DIY approach, they're using our templates. There's an element of us supporting and things, but it's quite hands off for us. That's fine. We do have a lot of bigger, more bespoke website builds on at the moment. So that is more managing the time and making sure that everything is going to run smoothly. But I'm also making myself busy, but for good reasons. Like I'm doing so much networking at the moment. We've got two big events that we're exhibiting at coming up, one of which we're talking at as well. And it's just doing all of that stuff. Like we have never exhibited before, hadn't really appreciated how much you do have to do beforehand. Like, oh yeah, well, we need to have good things on the stand and we need to
Mm.
get some merch and we need to get some different flyers printed, or maybe we should have some different like stands on the day and like all of those things. I had underestimated the preparation for exhibiting, but now we've done it all now, so much of that can be reused again.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
going to be worth it in the long run if we want to do more of this kind of thing. But yeah, it's just having lots of new clients, lots of bespoke projects, planning for exhibiting. Plus, I say yes to virtually any networking that's going on that looks like it's decent networking. That it's quite a lot fitting in a week,
Yeah.
really.
And that was only since Monday, so well done.
Yeah, I mean, I've done
Um,
all of that in a day and a half. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent job. Okay, there's a couple of things there that we'll come back to. But so Ready Steady websites, as far as I'm aware, this isn't the sort of the first iteration of yourself and Chris, who's your husband, business partner as well. We'll come back to that. Um, so do you want to give us, for the people that know nothing, the cliff notes of your origin story, where you were, what the idea was, and what brings us up to Ready Steady websites in the present day?
Yes, so it was 2010, and we were expecting our first child, and we were expecting him in October, and it's sort of April, May time, and we have been told we should go and look around nurseries already, get our names down for nurseries. And we did that, and we didn't like the nurseries. And we also thought, do we actually want to have a child and then not see him? And Chris had always thought it would be cool to run his own sort of small design agency. And so we went, well, if we run our own business, we're in charge of our own time, and therefore we can see this child when we
Hmm.
have him. And so, yeah, May 2010, we set up what was, still is, Second Floor Designs Limited. That's our overarching company.
Got it.
But Second Floor Designs is a really rubbish name for a web design company because we did it because our office was on the second floor.
Oh, well, how did you come
But
up with that then? I mean, that's quite original.
well, yeah, exactly. We went, oh yeah, we're on the second floor. We do designs. There we go. And then everyone thought we were architects or in the construction
That
world.
makes sense. Yeah.
Rubbish. But anyway, we weathered that storm for a few years, and through second floor, we were doing bespoke website design and builds and branding offers. And then like we were struggling with the peaks and troughs of finance that project work brings. And so we were looking at other ways that we could have different income streams. And we started designing and selling WordPress themes through some theme marketplaces, mainly Theme Forest. And that went really well for a couple of years. We had a really nice semi passive income alongside the project work, happy days. Then the big players came along and blew us out the water, like the Divis and the Elementals, and before that Avada. And so we went, do you know what? Like, let's look at what else we can be doing. We tried WordPress courses. That didn't work because you could get them for free on YouTube with everyone else doing it. But having done the courses and having done the themes, we thought, we can combine this. We can create some kind of website in a box that has training alongside it, that people can put their own content into a template. And we worked on that idea, and that is how Ready Steady Websites was born. We'd also had quite a few people coming to us who didn't need or really have the budget for a bespoke website, but they wanted to work with somebody, like a consistent person, which you don't get if you're using the Wixes and the Squarespaces and the like. And so all of that made us feel that, this model that we were coming up with would work. And so, in 2019, we launched Ready Steady Websites. And we thought it would again be that kind of, we did it on a monthly subscription basis. We thought it would be a supporting income stream, and still we would be focusing on the bespoke design and builds. Very quickly it took off, and Ready Steady Websites became our absolute sole focus, and which was lovely because it meant that we were working with a lot more people because of the nature of the way that the business works. We're helping more people, much bigger range of different types of businesses as well. And so, but that has evolved over the years as well. So it was very much like we had our templates, you had the course, like the tutorials that went alongside it. And it was like a website in a box for people to take a DIY approach. But more recently, people have been coming to us wanting more of a done for you service again. So we still have the DIY, but we have a done for you service, but still using the templates. So it's not bespoke, but people don't have to worry about it themselves. And then we still have our bespoke design and build offering. We still offer branding services. And then last year we added on our connector lead and marketing software because so many people were getting inquiries and leads through their business, and then they weren't doing anything really to follow up and do and like keep track of people and nurturing them using like email automations and things like that. So we added that in as well last year, and now I feel like we have a real complete offering for people.
Interesting, interesting. So, what I love about that is that in the time that you've sort of been around, you've had lots of challenges, you've had lots of pivots, you've had lots of changes of direction. Do you feel now you're set for the next few years, or I suppose in your world, especially with AI changing lots and lots of things, and I know you've adapted with that, and you use AI to a certain extent. But do you feel that you're kind of settled for now, or is there another grand plan for 3 to 5 years? Where are you now, I suppose?
I feel like our offering now is so complete that, yes, from that
Okay.
point of view, I feel like, this is what we have, and we're going to really stick with this and focus on this.
Okay.
But I think that, AI and changes around that may impact on what our clients actually want.
Mm,
And so
mm,
we may see ourselves like responding to client needs again and offering something. I don't know what that is. It
mm,
will depend on how people's usage and what AI offers and stuff changes. Like you said, we use it. So Chris will use it to speed up his developing and coding and stuff, because it would be silly for him to sit there and take 2 hours doing something when he can go, hey, Claude, sort this out for me. And Claude does it in like 10 minutes while Chris gets on with something else.
mm, mm.
And so I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like we've got at least another 5 years before anything changes massively, because it's not the business owner who's in construction, in accounting, in like nutritional therapy that's really jumping in and using AI majorly. They still want to come to a person who they like and trust to
Mm.
help them create their website.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
don't see that anything's going to impact on us massively in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
But as AI perhaps gets better at creating the end result without some random stuff going on that someone who knows what they're doing needs to go in and sort out,
Mm.
If it gets to the point where it does create those end websites perfectly, if it gets to the point where it creates end websites that don't all look like each other, and actually, yeah, having it what people have asked for, then yeah, goodness knows, 5 years' time, maybe we won't be needed, but I hope that's not the case.
Well, I think you're right. I think the most of the creative industry has been affected in some way. But what I've seen so far, and we could be totally wrong. We could be, but sitting here in 5 years, and we could be in different careers. But I think there's always going to be a need for that human element and AI working alongside um, the humans and AI and vice versa, isn't it? But so when you launched Ready Steady website, you said that it went ballistic straight away. How on earth did you market that? Did Because I think for a lot of people, they may have new packages, they may be starting a new business, everything's there, and then they think, right, okay, now what? So I think it'd be really interesting to know the method that you used to get Ready Steady websites onto a really good footing, I suppose, and getting that traction really early. What did you do?
We used used that sounds so wrong. We used people as the sentence I
Okay.
suppose, which didn't sound quite right. So how we started was we kept it very small. So we started with 3 alpha testers and we launched it with them, just to really make sure that we'd got it right. But we picked 3 people who we knew were prolific networkers, had clients who were the right type of people for us as well, and got them really excited about the fact they were the first 3 people to use this. And we knew they'd go and talk about us, but equally, they're lovely people and we were happy to do it for them. And alpha testers got it absolutely for free for the first year.
Okay.
While we were doing that with the alpha testers, we were building an email list, of people to be in our beta group, and we wanted 10 people to be beta users. So they would be paying, but they'd be paying at a reduced price with the view that they knew things might go wrong. We only got a list of 19 people saying that they wanted to potentially be one of our beta people, and we got our 10 from those 19. So the conversion rate of that list was immense and proves that you need to have the right people, not loads of people on an email list, I think. And so yeah, so then we had those 10 people again. They were from a networking group. There were a lot of business coaches, all people who sort of have clients who were small business owners, like a business photographer and things like that. So we were really again getting in the people that would be right to go and talk about us and say how fantastic it was. And then a couple of months after the beta people came in, that's when we launched it fully. And it was a little bit of a slow dribs and drabs. It was people we knew from networking or people who were referred to us. But then on the Black Friday that year, we did a big like Black Friday offer thing. And that got us in a really big swathe of people. And obviously, these people are all paying us monthly. So every month it was a nice amount of money. It wasn't just like, oh, Black Friday, we've got a nice big payment once and that's it. It was like some people paid up front, but then we knew that come the next year they'd start paying us monthly. And yeah, and then once we sort of got like about sort of 30 people on it, it then really did start to like just build really nicely month on month. And I'd absolutely put it down to that that network, but also we did a lot to keep building our email list. So then we did a lot to build our email list leading up to the Black Friday, so that we then had a decent about pool of people, like we're talking hundreds on the email list then from the 19 that we'd had for the beta launch. And we continued to really push and build an email list for those first few years of Ready Steady websites being out there. And it meant that every time we did put an offer out, and for the first few years, we did a Black Friday offer every year. We don't do it anymore. It's so consistent, like with the money we're getting now, that we don't want to devalue the offer anymore, really, by keep putting a Black Friday offer out there. But that was massive for boosting the numbers and getting more people hearing about us. And we see people joining and we look back and we go, oh, they joined on a Black Friday interest list like 3 years ago. And yeah, they finally got round to joining.
Mm.
but it was really worth doing, building that email list to constantly have a pool of people there waiting to buy when they're ready, really.
Okay. So the next question on email lists is, and how did you grow that?
So there was a range of ways. Quite a lot in the early days. We ran a lot of free workshops and webinars and things like that that people had to sign up for. We ran sort of 5-day challenges to help you plan your website. They were real. They were really good for Facebook ads a few years ago, getting people on those challenges. That worked really well. And free downloads, free useful checklists, things like that. And I'd go and do a lot of guest workshops for other people's memberships and audiences. And I'd always have some kind of free download as a call to action at the end for people to come and sign up for. So yeah, a lot of freebies was the way to build the email list, which definitely worked to get people interested. But I think when you build your email list through freebies, you have to be accepting that your conversion rate of your email list is going to be a bit lower than maybe you want, because you've got a lot of people on there who want stuff for free and who are going to take more warming up to get to the buying point. When we started to build our email list through coming to low price workshops, or people would maybe come on the free workshop, but then there'd be an upsell to buy our book or something like that, we'd then see the people who had paid the little bit of money to do something were much easier and quicker to convert into an actual client registered websites member at the end. So yeah, so that was an interesting one for us. And you don't build your email list as quickly if you're doing it through a low priced offering,
Hmm.
but again, you get better people, I think, on the, well, not better people, but more
Be
qualified to buy.
careful, Jude. Better
Oh,
class of person.
lovely.
I know what you mean. Yeah, 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 yeah. It's okay, Jude. You're not going to be cancelled. It's fine. Um, okay. So that's interesting. I suppose the next question to go even deeper on that, though, before I talk about you and Chris for a second, is how did you how did you get in front of the people that say would come to the workshops? Because even um, because if you're starting from scratch, you've got no real following. So was it difficult to put yourself in front of people, say, on social media, on these workshops? Because if you don't have a following, even if it's free and it's incredible what you're giving away, just getting people through the door is really, really difficult. So was that a case of going to more networking, going to people that maybe you've worked with before? How did you build the cluster of people so you could get in front of more people?
So 2019, 2020, being in Facebook groups, business Facebook
Right.
groups, was a great way of doing it, because there were quite a lot who would do a share your free thing, share your offer or whatever on a
Okay.
Wednesday or something like that. So we'd do a lot of that. We would do Facebook ads back then, like
Mm.
Facebook ads worked really well for us. And to get someone onto like a free challenge or something like that, you were paying really little per ad back then. We have found more recently that A, you can talk about the ethics of paying for Facebook ads, and B, they just, the last time we tried, which was a couple of years ago, it just didn't work as well for us. But back then, yeah,
Mm.
being in those Facebook groups, doing those little chances to promo, but also building up connections with people who would let us go and talk to their audiences, appearing on other people's podcasts and all that kind of thing, really did us very well as well.
Okay. Okay.
um, Especially kind of people who had audience in specific niches. Like that's how we very much built up our audience of speakers. We do a lot of speaker websites, again, a lot of nutritional therapists, is because we knew people who were quite high profile in those sectors had big followings on social media. We did stuff with them, and that
Mm.
really worked really well for us.
Yeah.
Like there was one coach who, her name's Gwen Warren, lovely nutritional therapist, but also a coach for new nutritional therapy businesses. She could put something on her email list for us, and we would have 100 new people on our email list in a day. So
Wow.
yeah, building connections like that were
Yeah.
brilliant for us.
Yeah. Who knew good quality conversations actually work, isn't it? 'Cause that's essentially what it's about, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that if you started Ready Steady websites now, how would how would the marketing differ? You mentioned Facebook ads, you mentioned Facebook business groups, which I mean, I haven't really used them either, but if it's a bit more tumbleweedy than it used to be, obviously you're going to be networking, you're going to be doing the sort of organic stuff. But how do you think you would start now?
I think I would use LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn is definitely
Okay.
my platform now, much more rather than Facebook. So I would do a lot more of that, but it wouldn't be in the same way. I think for LinkedIn, it's much more about people seeing you as an expert. So I think
Mm.
you have to combine LinkedIn with going out and networking and taking photos of you being out there as well. So you're making the good relationships at the networking, but also putting it on LinkedIn and people going, oh, I want to be out where she is because that looks great. And people following you because you think, well, everyone's chatting to her and talking to her. She must be fantastic at what she does. Um, I think in-person networking is having, like, I definitely see that people build relationships more quickly in person networking. I get speaking opportunities and things through that as well. And so I think, again, when you then put on LinkedIn that you've been a guest speaker here, there, and everywhere, people will get to know you more. Like I've picked up, like I've been surprised because I used to really hate LinkedIn, and I don't know if LinkedIn changed or I did, but I've been surprised by how we do get people coming to use Ready Steady websites who have literally just seen me on LinkedIn,
Okay.
whether they saw me commenting on someone else's post, thought I seemed nice and normal by doing that, and then have come and followed me, then sent me a message, and then it's gone from there. What's slightly concerning is that I got one client because she saw me commenting on Martin's post
Mm.
and then came to follow me and message me. And I only spout absolute nonsense on Martin's post. So it's the way to do it. Just be yourself
Be
and talk
yourself.
absolute rubbish.
Yeah, yeah. Well, myself and Martin have made a career out of that so far, so
Well, yes,
pretty good goings.
it works. So yeah, I think it's harder. I do think it's harder these days to build an audience
Mm.
because yeah, I just don't think I'm still in business groups on Facebook and I'll still have, but there's so many more people in them. I think we launched Ready Steady websites just like a year before lockdown, the first lockdown. And then during lockdown, I think so many more people started small businesses and needed an online space to go and talk to other people. So those business groups grew massively, which in some ways is great because you think, well, it's a bigger audience of people like me working with small business owners. But then it's much harder to get seen in them.
Mm. Mm.
And so yeah, for me now, LinkedIn is the place to be, building like a following on there and just building more and more strong relationships so people go and ask me to talk to their people and get us seen really.
Yeah. So am I right in saying that um, in terms of the division of labor within the business, you're all over the business development side. So you are getting sales in. That is your job basically. That's the networking, that's the online stuff, that's the customer engagement, everything. And then Chris just gets on with the design stuff. Is just before I yeah?
Pretty much, yes.
Okay.
So I definitely do all the out. When Chris does, he'll rock up to the occasional networking meeting.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I mean like once every 3 months in
yeah,
one
yeah,
of the
yeah, yeah.
groups that we belong to. But he's coming to the events with me as well that we're exhibiting at because I just feel you can't do that by yourself. But yeah, on the whole, I am the one who goes out networking. I do the online networking. I do the socials.
Mm.
I'm going out and running guest workshops and all that kind of thing.
Okay.
That is all me. I will also do some of the calls that come in, but I don't do all of them. So quite a lot of like our website review calls, they could go into either of our calendars depending on who's got the availability that day. So that could be either of us. Chris will take the person over essentially once they're pretty much certain that they want to come and work with us. So that's when he'll have the call to talk about like their business, what they're thinking for the website, or if they need branding and everything. And then he will be the one who continues to stay in touch with them throughout the project and then beyond the project, unless they come to some of our co-working sessions while they're preparing their content and that kind of thing, in which case they'll see me there
Mm.
as well. So yeah, so I do the front bit. You'll see me at the start. Once I've basically turned you into a paying client, then it's over to Chris.
And
And
then
then I'll pop up every
love
so
them
often.
and leave them. Yeah, yeah, that's yeah.
So
Because the why that set up, well, there's two things to this, I suppose. In one way, for the people watching, listening to this that are completely self-employed, they have to do what you're doing in terms of getting out there, getting the business, but also doing the work as well. So that's a huge thing. But obviously, so that's in terms of the advantages that you have. That's amazing, the fact that you've got that division of labor. But of course, there's two people in the business at the moment, but that's got to pay two people's wages. So it's so what are kind of the challenges, whether the advantages, I suppose, but also the challenges of that setup.
so I think the advantage definitely is that too. I don't understand how anyone manages to do it all themselves, because I think that the amount of it is a full-time job, me going out and doing
Mm.
all of the networking, doing the socials, writing the emails for our weekly emails. I do the blog posts, like all of that marketing side of things. I do like our finances and some of the admin bits as well. Hate that bit, but someone's got to send stuff to the accountant. But yeah, so I do the some admin too. But it is absolutely a full-time job getting those people in. And then yeah, Chris does the work, because otherwise, if you were focusing on getting people in all the time, the work could not get done. So I think it's amazing that people manage to balance that and do both things themselves. But I suppose, like you said, they can split their time in half as long as they're good at managing their time and their calendar to do the delivery of the work and do the bringing the work in. Because actually, yes, they probably only need half the money, but because we do need to make sure that we are, yeah, hitting an income that is two good salaries, because
Mhm.
we have two children who appear to be incredibly expensive, because they like doing all the sports and everything, and a stupid Victorian house that seems to also drain a lot of money from us. Yes, we have to make sure that the work comes in.
Yeah.
But yes, so that's and you know we have we was probably insane to start a business when we were expecting a child, and by the time that child was 6 months old, that was it. It was our business that was bringing in all the money. I didn't go back after maternity leave. We just went, yeah, all eggs in one
Yeah,
basket, we
why
got to
not?
make it work. And 16 years later it has. But yeah, so it is a challenge, but and that was another reason to start the recurring income model, because it's not a stress anymore. Not We've got over 200 people on Ready Steady websites. They're not all going to leave us in a day. They are all paying us some kind of monthly subscription. It varies depending on what plan they're on, at what
Mm.
point they are working with us. But it's a safe kind of bet having both of us in the business because of how we've structured it now. We had 1 month where we were literally down to 1 month's money left. That was just before the themes, selling the WordPress themes, really took off. And I was like, we've got 1 month load of money left. If this doesn't work, I don't know what we're going to do. One of us is going to have to get a job. And then that next month was when the themes just went boom, our first month of really awesome sales. And I went, oh, we're okay for a couple of months now, then, right, carry on. And then we haven't had a concern like that since, because we've always looked at having multiple income streams in the business.
Yeah, yeah. There's some key lessons there, isn't there, in terms of diversifying. And yes, of course, there's an age-old debate in terms of should you niche down or should you diversify a bit more. And that's maybe part two and part three and part four of our chats, because that's very long-winded, isn't it? And it obviously depends on the business. But okay, so just before we go, um, how I'm always intrigued about husband and wife or partners working together. Um, because I just think it would be the most difficult thing in the world because, and not because I don't love my wife and I couldn't work with her and she couldn't work with me. That's fine. I think what I'd struggle with the most is, especially if you're having a tough time in business, about how that doesn't bleed into your relationship. So over the years, has that been a challenge? Has it been fine? But if it has been a challenge, how do you manage that? And is it kind of uh, yeah, does it shift around in terms of your methods of dealing with that?
Right at the start, first 6 months, it was all challenge.
Yeah.
Like it was hard. So yes, that was the sort of like obviously the worst money bit while you're still kind of trying to build the business up. Also, Chris and I both came from roles where we managed, like we were in charge of projects and teams and everything. And so we both came into the business used to being the boss, and then it was trying to, find the balance and find our roles in the business, and at what point, yeah, do I take the sort of potential client and hand over, and just trying to work out all those things. It was tricky, and the thing that made it work was we moved out of our house to an office. We had another guy who had his own little web company come and share the office with us. So then we were going to work. We had Michael sitting in the office with us. Couldn't really be bickering and everything in front of him. We had to go in and be professional. And that just made it all click into place. And yeah, life bleeds in. Like we are very good at sort of stopping and having dinner with the kids, or, like the kids' football training and stuff like that makes us stop and we have to go off and do those things. But then once the kids are off in bed or upstairs listening to their music or whatever, then the work chat does tend to start again. And sometimes we're good, like it what not straight away, we'll watch a bit of telly, but then we'll be like, just getting some bits prepped for the next day, unstacking the dishwasher or whatever before we actually, so about 10 o'clock at night, one of us will go, oh yeah, I meant to say, and then the work chat will start again.
Okay.
And so that's probably not healthy sometimes. I have said to Chris before, once the kids have left home and like we've stopped working, I'm not really sure what we're going to talk about. Like, I do feel like our life is just business and kids.
Yeah,
Like, I'm
interesting.
sure we'll find something, or we just won't retire. And we'll just
I'm
keep up.
I'm I'm glad you said won't retire and you didn't say get divorced because that would be sad, wouldn't it? But yeah.
Yeah, it works. And yes, fortunately, I think we have the same work ethic and
Hmm.
we have the same goals. And I think that helps. Like, I think if one of us was working really hard on the business and the other one was like, nah, I can't bother today, that would probably be hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, it does seem to work. And, yeah, when we talk about being in, like, when people meet us, and realize we work together, we either get the response of, oh, that's really cool, or how the hell do you do that? There's
Hmm.
absolutely no way I could work with my partner.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But we know so many like partners in business now. We seem to be surrounded with them, certainly in the Southampton area.
Okay.
So many of them in the world of web as well, that sort of become the norm now. If I meet someone at a networking meeting who doesn't work with their partner, it seems weird as a web designer. I mean,
Well, then maybe that's the takeaway. If you want to start a business with your partner, go to Southampton. There's something in the air down there. Yeah.
clearly works.
Okay.
Yeah.